Hello everyone. Today we will study EVS and I have Maryam with me. In which class do you read, Maryam?
In third E.
So let's read the third EVS book. It's called The Blue Planet and it is by Goel Brothers Prakashan. So there are many chapters in this book. There is life of early man within the country, symbols of unity, travel and communication, living and non-living, planets, plants, our green friends, animal kingdom, air and water, weather and season, universal bodies. So today we'll study life of early man. This is the book and you can see the beautiful pictures, Maryam. Can you?
Yes, I can see the girl, a lion, and a cat, kind of, and an elephant and a boy running away.
Early humans were not gifted. They just worked hard and succeeded on purpose of making their lives comfortable. Today we have so many things of comfort. We have a cozy bed, a nice house, whatever we want to do, we can do it with ease. But at that time, they didn't have all these things. Early man had a very tough life. They could not talk as we do, and even their language was different. Suppose you're not allowed to speak, how will you? Ask your mother for food. So if you're not allowed to speak, you have to do a sign language, right? How will you ask?
Yeah, who doesn't know sign language? They would.
It will become very difficult for them. So language is also a blessing, so we can understand each other. Knowledge mapping they have got, life of early human, discovery of fire and improvement in life. So they have made this knowledge mapping. So this is like a sticky note in your brain. You can put it that in this chapter we are studying life of early man, how he discovered fire and how he improved his life. Okay, so life of early human. Can you see the cave?
Yeah, this is creepy to me.
Can you imagine a life without the house we live in, television, school, delicious food, means of transport and communication? It would be so difficult.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
if they didn't had any home television, school, delicious food, so how did they improve to be early man to?
Yes, earlier life was very difficult. They used to live in the caves with stones. They used to make their houses under the tree. They used to live anywhere. Then, if there was rain, it would become very difficult for them. So, slowly, as they faced difficulties, they thought that we should make certain things that can make our life easy. Many years ago, early human lived in the jungle and were afraid of bigger and strong wild animals. So, if there are no gate in the house, any wild animal can come in, right? And so,
But they can also use fire to shoot.
yes, so they did not know how to build house. For earlier, they didn't know how to build the house, so they spent their time on the trees. They used to live on the trees or hid themselves behind the bushes. So if there was a big bush, they used to go and hide in there. But all this could not provide them security from wild animals and adverse climatic conditions. Thus, then they gradually started living in caves. So if they would live in tree, suddenly a monkey would come. Or if they
and they will take their clothes and doing anything.
and if they hid in the bushes, then suddenly a snake can arise. So these types of temporary houses could not provide them security. Okay. So early humans were hunter-gatherers. Early they used to hunt and gather the food. They moved from one place to another on foot in search of food and shelter. So like we live in our house and we and our parents go to office and they earn and bring us food. It was not like that.
Before time, the God give some hunter gatherers. That time, did God give power to the earth to plant food?
Yes, they used to be fruits in the trees. They used to go to the trees and gather the mangoes, oranges like this. They used to gather the fruits from the trees. They used to hunt the animals like fishes. They used to catch and then they used to eat them raw because they didn't know how to cook, but they have to satisfy their hunger. So life was difficult in those days. Later on, they got the idea of living in the cave. Early humans were hunter-gatherers. Yeah, they ate fruit from trees or root of plant like carrots and all that. So they used to yes, they used to eat the roots of the plant, the fruit of the trees, and they hunted animals and ate them raw, as they did not know how to cook food. They used sharp-edged stones to kill animals. And how would they kill animals? With a sharp-edged stones. These stones tool improved with time and their requirements, and they made spears, hammers, and axe heads. So, yes.
Hammers are made up of iron, so how did they get iron for that time?
They used to, yes, they got the hammers were used with stone also. The stone tools improved with time. There used to be various stone tools. If you see, I'll show you some pictures. If it is in here, it's not here. So I will show you pictures. So slowly they began to learn how to make the tools. They used to be sharpen that stones. And if you go in some museum, you can see the different types of tools that gradually develop over time. Earlier, they didn't have such sharp things like we use. The things have slowly evolved from time.
They first made wooden axe and spears and wooden axe heads. Then they made stone and then
No, they didn't make
iron.
stone. They made this, all these things, they made this with stone. Okay, so gradually they started making tools with bones. And then at first year they used stones. Then they saw that even bones are useful, bones of animals and all that.
They was were they use swing, because I don't believe that they can swing with
Yes, then they used the bones for cutting, digging, and sewing. With the bones, they made needles, and they used the bones to cut, to dig the earth, and to sew. They covered their bodies with large leaves, bark of trees, and animal skin, which they sewed together with needle made of bones. So with the bones they made needles. Then they took the leaves from the plant, from the trees, and then they sew them, and then they fold the clothes with leather and the leaves, large leaves and barks of the trees.
that would be very uncomfortable for them.
Yes, but they didn't had any option. And we are so lucky so that we have all these things now. Early human, then they discovered fire. Early human had seen forest fire, but did not know how to use it. They used to see that, oh, there's something that's lighting up there, but they didn't know how to use this fire. Like animals, they were afraid of fire. Like the animals are afraid of fire, even humans were earlier afraid of fire. Perhaps accidentally they discovered fire while rubbing two stones together. When a few sparks fell on the heap of dry grass lying nearby and caught fire. This discovery was a turning point in their lives. So the early man was once rubbing two stones, and then there was a spark, and this caught fire. There was a heap of dry leaves which caught fire, and so thus he discovered fire.
So, can we also make fire with
Yes.
wood?
Not with wood, with stones. There are certain stones, if you rub them, then you can see the sparks of fire. So they discovered fire. And then when they discovered fire, then they began to cook the meat and eat. And they became so happy. See, look at the face.
They look scary because of that thingy.
Complete this as sentences. Early humans wore, what did they wear?
They wear skin made,
Skin of animals.
skin of animals, bark of trees, and animals'
Leaf and leaves, large leaves. They ate.
They ate raw. They ate fruits or roots, and they ate
And raw
flesh
animals
and
also.
flesh.
Yeah, they discovered fire. They discovered fire.
They discover fire by rubbing two stones together.
Yes. They discovered fire accidentally by rubbing two stones together. So how they use the fire? With the passage of time, they learned the use of fire. They found that they could light up their caves and protect the family from cold and wild animal using the fire. Now the early man understood that when I light the fire, the wild animals will run away. So this protected the family. And then when they felt cold, they lit a fire and they got the warmth of the fire. So it protected them from the cold also.
They also came know that roasted food was much softer and tastier than raw meat.
So this was the beginning of cooked food. So now they didn't have to eat the raw meat. When they cooked the meat, they thought it's so tasty.
So before the time they were afraid like animals of fire, but then they noticed that the fire was very useful to them.
Yes, and then they were not scared of fire. Now, improvement in life with fire, the life also improved. While living in the caves in the jungles, early human regularly required to go far off to the river banks for drinking water. Now we have bottles, water bottles here in our house. We don't have to go out of the house, but
Yeah,
they you had to go so far to drink water.
yeah, but streams they are very yucky because animals.
Yes, every animals also drink from there, and they had to drink from that same water. They gradually started living near banks. So first they thought that we have to go so far to drink the water. So they began to live near the river banks. Now they could get water easily for various activities.
They also knew that all animals came to the river for drinking.
Drinking water where they could be hunted easily. Now they saw that the animals come to river banks to drink the water. So they also had animals so which they can hunt. Fish was their main food. Earlier they lived in far off caves and it was difficult to meet each other. But now they started living in groups, helping each other and gave protection to the families from wild animals together. So now the people began to live together.
Like we have ancestors and our grandparents, so we are always protected by our family.
Yes, and when there are many peoples, when there are many families living, and suddenly a elephant comes, and they can chase off the elephant. Many people get together and they can chase them off. And if they were alone, then it would have become difficult.
They they couldn't run away because the animals are very faster than humans.
Yes, discovery of farming. By this time, early human had quite developed their thinking process. They noticed the seed in the soil grow into plant. They saw that when you sow the seed, it grows into plant and got the idea of growing plants for their food. Now they also learned to grow plants.
First they used trees that were not made was not planted by them. There was already there. They used like that, that
Yes, now
not
this is
enough.
called agriculture and farming. Now you are sowing the seeds in a line. So if you're sowing the seeds of you are sowing wheat, so there will be lots of wheat plants. So it will be easier. Otherwise, they would go all around the jungle and collect food.
Then they also discover how to catch animals easily because they showed wheat to the sheep. The sheep came near them and then they could harm them.
Yes, and they collected and sowed the seed in the soil. Thus, they began farming. Most of the seed grew into plants. Early man had transformed from being a hunter gatherer to a food producer. Earlier, they were a hunter, they were a gatherer. Now, they are food producer. Now, they can produce the food. They used tools to dig the soil. Later, they developed tools with proper shapes of wood and stones. Earlier,
what is the meaning of the food produce here?
Food producer means produce the food. They sowed the seed in the soil and all the food is coming out. The plants are coming out. So they became food producer. Produce the food. Okay. Produce means?
Producer means that they grow.
Yes.
Here.
So they use stones to dig the soil. Later, they developed tools with proper shape of wood and stones. Earlier, they plowed the land themselves, but later on, they began to use animals. Earlier, they had to plow it themselves, but later on, they used the animals. They tied some wood here between the animals. Yes, and
vines.
And then the animals would plough the field for them. Along with farming, earlier humans started taming animals like hen, goat, cow, sheep. Sheep, goat, pig, donkey were domesticated by early humans. They started using these animals for different work like obtaining milk, eggs for carrying them, and things. They used the bullock to plough the field and dogs for security from wild animals and for hunting. So they used the dog for security.
The first humans friends were dogs because they give them security, and also they harmed animals when they came too close.
Yes. And they use the goat, they use the cow, they use the hen.
They use the sheep for wool.
Okay, now tell me true or false. Early men knew how to light fire.
False. They didn't knew.
Later on, they learned.
Yes.
They tamed dogs for hunting animals.
Yes.
Horses were used to plough the field. Horse.
No.
They did not like cooked meat.
False. They liked cookie because of the softness.
Okay, what is this? Horse. How can you say that necessity is the mother of invention with reference to early human? Necessity is the mother of invention. What does this mean? That if you really want something, then you will work for it and then you will develop that thing. Like they really needed a house. Earlier, they had to sleep on the trees, under the bushes.
Or in caves.
Yes, so they really need a house where they can live comfortably. So they began to make the house. With every improvement, life became better for early humans. They settled the settled life gave them some free time. Now they don't have to go far to bring food. Now they have time to do something they want. They really want to enjoy.
They learned talking while singing and dancing.
They enjoyed singing and dancing. They painted pictures on the wall of the caves. In the caves, they look at this man. He's painting pictures on the wall of the cave.
This doesn't look like a man. That looks like a child.
The growth of crops led to the need of cooking and storing grains. Now there was enough of grains, so they also learned to how to store the grains. And look at this man. He's traveling on water
with the help of dogs. First time also, now on days people also use the same idea.
Yes, rafting.
Yeah.
Water carriage. It is believed that earlier human learned to travel on water before the invention of wheel. Okay, so there was no wheel at that time. They must have noticed some logs of wood floating on water that gave them the idea of sailing. They made a raft by tying some logs together that helped them in fishing. So they are logs of wood and he has rafted them together and is sitting over the log.
They rafted them together with vines. But the invention of wheel was made in 1978 was the date of the invention of wheels.
Okay, so we have just little bit. Let's do it all today. Discovery of wheel. Earlier, humans walked on foot and later used animals to travel with very less goods. So first they used to walk on foot, then they began to climb on the animals and walk. Later, they started carrying goods on tied pieces of wood. One day, they noticed a big rock. What did they notice? A big rock. Boulder rolling down the hill, which gave them the idea of wheel. They tried to make a stone wheel first, but it was difficult to make a hole in a big stone. Then they tried making wheel with a wide stem of the tree. So he cut the wide stem and then he made a hole in the middle. They fitted these wheels to the cart. Now they could easily move the cart on uneven ground. Now traveling became easier and faster. Then the potter's wheel was invented to make pots and pans with clay. Now they also learned to make the utensils.
This just look this they're using like a round thing that just look like a potter's wheel because they also use potters now also use that thing.
Potter's wheel, it's used to make pans and with clay.
And they also use pots to make clay, right?
Pots?
Yeah.
They invented to. Then the potter's wheel was invented to make pots. That's what you're saying?
Yes.
Yes. Much later, they must have observed that the jungle fire usually left burnt product behind it. When there was a fire in jungle, then they saw that there was a burn, something got burned there. They would have found that some of the partially melted stones converted to solid metals on cooling down. So, metals are found like a liquid.
That's also name of iron ore.
Ores. That's called metal ores. And then this gave them the idea of extracting metals from the ores. They started melting such stones in fire and began making tools. Iron and copper were the first metal to be discovered. Which were the first metals to be discovered?
Iron and copper. They didn't know where gold ore was. They didn't.
Yes, they later found out. They made sharp and strong tools and used them to clear forest for farming. Then they made sharp and strong tools with it. It was another leap towards progress. Gradually, new means of transport were developed like bicycle, tonga, scooter, car, bus, train, ships, and aeroplane. Means of communication also developed like radio, television, telegraph, and telephone. These inventions are the reasons why we are living a comfortable life today. Amazing, right?
Yeah. Now we are just recording in a thing we call a laptop. That's how.
Yes, now even we have a laptop and we can sit in our room and we can talk to people all around the world. We have mobile.
Before in early humans, they also used pigeons to communication that time.
Yes, let's learn the environment terms. Hunter-gatherer. It means
Roaming from place to place in search of food.
very good. Sparks.
Tiny bright pieces of burning material
Roasted.
cooked in fire.
Boulder.
Huge round stone.
Points to ponder. So this boy is peeping from him and he's saying that you have to learn this. Early
He's literally writing ABCD.
Yes, early humans lived in
Jungle.
they were
Hunter-gatherers. They accidentally discovered fire while rubbing two stones together. They started living near.
slow. They started living.
They started living near riverbeds and did farming. They tamed animal and learned to travel on water. They invented wheel to move carts on it. They used potter's wheels to make pots and pans of clay. They discovered metals and made better tools.
Very good. Now I'm going to ask questions from this. Now don't look. Tell me. Early human lived in dash.
Jungle.
They were dash.
Hunter-gatherers.
They accidentally discovered dash
Fire.
while rubbing dash together.
Stones together.
They started living near dash
Riverbank.
and did dash.
Farming.
They tamed dash
Animals.
and learned to travel on.
Water.
They invented dash and moved cart on it.
They invented wheel and moved carts on it.
They used dash to make pots and pans of clay.
They used wheel to make
Potter's wheel.
potter's wheel to make pots and pans of clay.
They discovered dash and made better tools.
They discovered metals and made better tools.
Very good.
Metals.
Okay, now I'll ask you spelling also. Human.
Human.
Boulder.
Boulder. Boulder.
Very good. Roasted.
Roasted.
Arrow.
Roasted.
Spark.
Spark.
Very good. Telegraph.
Telegraph. What is a telegraph?
Tele. T-E-L-E.
Telephone.
Telegraph.
Telegraph. I don't know.
It's a means of communication.
Telegraph.
Aeroplane.
Aeroplane.
Give.
Give. What did you
Give. I give.
I give. Gave.
Stone.
Simple. Stone. Stone.
Yes. And wheel.
Wheel.
Very good. Carriage.
What? Carriage. Carriage. Carriage.
Very good. Now tell me the spelling of animals.
Annie. M-A-L-S.
Bullock.
Bull. L-O-L-K.
Sike.
Sike.
B-U-L. Bull.
B verb bull.
L-O-C-K lock.
L-O-C-K lock.
Very good. Hunter. Hun.
H-U and hunt T-E-R-T.
Gather.
G-A-T-H-E-R-E-R. Gatherers.
Very good. So, did you enjoy learning this?
It was very fun. Especially they were wearing those funny clothes.
Yes. Thank you for listening. Thank you for attending the class.
Also, animals and girls and boys are happy. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.